The Stoic Guide to Overcoming Anxiety. Anxiety. It's a word we hear almost daily in our modern lives. Whether it's the pressure of work, personal relationships, or the uncertainty of the future, anxiety seems to be an inescapable part of the human experience. But what if there was a way to manage, even overcome, this pervasive feeling? Today, we're diving deep into the ancient philosophy of Stoicism, a guide that has helped countless individuals find peace amidst chaos. This is the Stoic Guide to Overcoming Anxiety. Stoicism, a school of philosophy that originated in ancient Greece, offers a timeless framework for understanding and dealing with life's challenges, including anxiety. It's not about eliminating emotions or living a life devoid of passion. Rather, it's about cultivating a mindset that allows us to navigate life's storms with clarity and composure. In this video, we will explore how Stoic principles can be applied to understand, manage, and ultimately overcome anxiety. Foundations of Stoic philosophy. Before we delve into the Stoic approach to overcoming anxiety, it's essential to understand the foundations of Stoicism itself. Stoicism was founded in Athens by Zeno of Citium in the early 3rd century BCE. It was further developed by philosophers like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius. These thinkers taught that the path to a good life lies in the cultivation of virtue, wisdom, and a deep understanding of the nature of the universe. Stoicism teaches that while we cannot control external events, we can control our reactions to them. The Stoics believed in living in accordance with nature, which means understanding and accepting the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. They emphasized the importance of reason, self-discipline, and inner tranquility. Central to Stoic philosophy are 4 cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Wisdom involves understanding the nature of the world and knowing how to act in different situations. Courage is the ability to face challenges without fear. Justice is about being fair and treating others with respect, and temperance is the practice of self-control and moderation. Understanding anxiety through Stoicism. Anxiety, from a Stoic perspective, arises when we focus on things outside our control and place our well-being in external circumstances. The Stoics believe that much of our emotional suffering is self-inflicted, stemming from our judgments and desires. For example, we become anxious about future events because we desire a particular outcome. We worry about what others think of us because we seek validation and approval. In both cases, we're allowing external factors to dictate our internal state. According to Stoicism, it's not the events themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. This idea is captured in a famous quote by Epictetus: "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." By changing our perspective and focusing on what we can control, we can reduce the hold that anxiety has on our lives. The dichotomy of control. One of the most powerful tools Stoicism offers for overcoming anxiety is the dichotomy of control. This principle teaches us to distinguish between what we can control and what we cannot. What can we control? Our thoughts, actions, and responses. What can't we control? Everything else, including the actions of others, external events, and outcomes. When we become anxious, it's often because we're trying to control the uncontrollable. We're worried about the future, other people's opinions, or events that have already occurred. By recognizing that these things are outside our control, we can redirect our focus to what we can influence, our own responses and attitudes. For instance, if you're anxious about an upcoming job interview, Stoicism would advise you to focus on preparing to the best of your ability, which is within your control, and letting go of the outcome, which is not. By accepting that the result is beyond your control, you free yourself from the anxiety associated with it. Practices to overcome anxiety. Stoicism provides several practical exercises to help us manage anxiety. Let's explore some of these techniques in detail. Negative visualization, premeditatio malorum. Negative visualization is a practice where we imagine the worst-case scenario that could happen in any given situation. The purpose is not to dwell on negativity, but to prepare ourselves mentally for the potential challenges we may face. By doing this, we desensitize ourselves to fear and reduce the shock if things do not go as planned. For example, if you're anxious about losing your job, you might visualize what life would look like if that happened. How would you cope? What steps would you take? By facing this possibility head-on, you diminish its power over you. You realize that even if the worst happens, you have the inner resources to handle it. Mindfulness and present Stoicism emphasizes living in the present moment, a concept that aligns with modern mindfulness practices. Anxiety often stems from ruminating on the past or worrying about the future. The Stoics encourage us to focus on the present, where we have the power to act and make a difference. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, frequently reminds himself to live in the present. He writes, "Confine yourself to the present." By grounding ourselves in the here and now, we reduce the space in our minds for anxious thoughts to take root. Acceptance and amor fati, or love of fate, is the Stoic practice of embracing everything that happens in life, even the difficult and painful moments. It's about accepting reality as it is and seeing each event, whether positive or negative, as an opportunity for growth. When we resist or reject the circumstances of our lives, we create internal conflict and anxiety. By practicing acceptance, we align ourselves with the natural course of events and find peace. This doesn't mean we become passive. Rather, we accept what we cannot change and focus on what we can. Detachment and letting go. Another Stoic practice for overcoming anxiety is learning to detach from our desires and attachments. This doesn't mean becoming indifferent or uncaring, but recognizing that clinging too tightly to outcomes or possessions leads to suffering. Epictetus teaches us to view everything in life as borrowed, not owned. By adopting this mindset, we reduce the fear of loss and the anxiety that comes with it. We become free to enjoy what we have without being enslaved by it. Stoic exercises and techniques. Beyond the theoretical understanding, Stoicism offers practical exercises to internalize its principles. Here are some techniques to incorporate into your daily life to manage and overcome anxiety. Daily reflection and journaling. The Stoics practiced daily self-reflection as a way to cultivate self-awareness and improve their character. By taking time each day to reflect on our thoughts, actions, and responses, we can identify areas where we're allowing anxiety to take hold and make conscious efforts to change. You might start your day by journaling about your intentions and how you plan to apply Stoic principles. In the evening, reflect on how you responded to different situations and what you could do differently next time. Cognitive reframing. Cognitive reframing is the practice of changing our interpretation of events to alter our emotional response. When faced with a stressful situation, instead of viewing it as a threat, we can choose to see it as a challenge or an opportunity to practice virtue. For example, if you're feeling anxious about a public speaking event, instead of seeing it as a potential disaster, reframe it as a chance to develop courage and improve your speaking skills. This shift in perspective can significantly reduce anxiety and empower you to take action. The view from above. The view from above is a meditative exercise where we imagine ourselves from a higher vantage point, seeing the broader context of our lives and the universe. This practice helps us gain perspective, reducing the intensity of our anxieties by reminding us of our small place in the grand scheme of things. By zooming out and seeing the bigger picture, we realize that many of our worries are insignificant in the larger context. This realization can bring a sense of peace and detachment from our immediate concerns. Meditative practices. Stoicism also encourages the practice of meditation, not in the sense of emptying the mind, but as a focused contemplation on the principles of Stoicism. This could involve repeating Stoic maxims, reflecting on the impermanence of life, or meditating on the interconnectedness of all things. These meditative practices help reinforce Stoic values and create a calm, centered mindset that is less prone to anxiety. Case studies and real-world applications. To better understand how Stoicism can help overcome anxiety, let's look at some historical examples and modern-day applications. Historical examples. Marcus Aurelius. As a Roman emperor, Marcus Aurelius faced immense pressures and uncertainties, yet his writings and meditations reflect a deep sense of calm and resilience. He constantly reminded himself to focus on what he could control, his own thoughts and actions, and accept what he could not. Epictetus. Born into slavery, Epictetus had little control over his external circumstances. However, through Stoicism, he learned to find freedom in his mind. He taught that while we cannot control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. This inner freedom helped him remain calm and composed in the face of adversity. Modern-day applications. Athletes. Many athletes use Stoic principles to manage performance anxiety. By focusing on the process rather than the outcome, they can stay present and perform at their best without being paralyzed by fear of failure. Business leaders. In the fast-paced world of business, leaders face constant uncertainty and pressure. Stoicism provides a framework for making clear, rational decisions without being swayed by emotions or external factors. By practicing the dichotomy of control, they can remain focused on their goals while letting go of what they cannot control. Everyday life. Stoic principles can be applied in everyday situations to reduce anxiety. Whether it's dealing with traffic, managing interpersonal conflicts, or facing health concerns, Stoicism teaches us to accept what we cannot change and focus on what we can. Conclusion. In conclusion, anxiety is a natural part of the human experience, but it doesn't have to control our lives. Through the wisdom of Stoicism, we can learn to manage and overcome anxiety by focusing on what we can control, practicing acceptance, and cultivating a calm, centered mind. The Stoic practices of negative visualization, mindfulness, acceptance, and detachment provide practical tools for dealing with anxiety. By incorporating these exercises into our daily lives, we can build resilience and inner peace, regardless of the external circumstances we face. Remember, the goal of Stoicism is not to eliminate emotions, but to develop a mindset that allows us to navigate life's challenges with grace and composure. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. By facing our anxieties and using them as opportunities for growth, we can transform them into stepping stones on our path to a more fulfilling life. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the Stoic Guide to Overcoming Anxiety. I hope you found this exploration of Stoic philosophy both insightful and practical. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe for more content on Stoicism and how it can help us lead better lives.